Well, the lame duck, he tried to show some strength today. He was desperate to find anything to brag about, so he reached back to touting Obamacare. But all I could hear was angry quacking.
The only reason the insurance company has to cover it is because of that law. And I promise you, I'm going to keep fighting for you. Are you prepared to fight with me? I don't want to hear any more of these lies about reckless spending. We're changing people's lives.
Okay, he's scaring me now. People's lives are changing, all right. The average American family is now having to spend an average of $460 more every month because of these skyrocketing costs for gas, food, and housing, everything else. That's about $5,000 a year. Now, I realize that $500K a year is nothing for the Biden family, where they're raking in hundreds of thousands of dollars for Hunter spitting on a piece of paper. But to regular people, working people, that added cost is a killer. It could mean raiding your retirement savings or going into debt. So the ruin that Biden's causing on the domestic front, it's gut-wrenching. But tonight we're going to talk about the warnings, the flashing red warnings for our national security as well. China is on the move tonight, with Democrat leaders, young and old, signaling that Biden's one and done. China knows that they have a 2.5-year window to solidify its path to push us out of Asia and then, of course, nail down their strategic alliances around the world. In just the past few weeks, we've seen just how determined they are to achieve global domination. Now, we have new satellite images of their third and most advanced aircraft carrier that gives China critical new naval reach. It's showing Biden who's boss. They're also buzzing their planes closer and closer to Taiwan every day. And now they're threatening war against anyone who tries to defend Taiwan's independence. And then, just a few hours ago, Taiwan told Reuters that war in Taiwan would hit the global economy harder than the global economy has been hit with Russia and Ukraine, and the Angle agrees with that assessment. Biden is so clueless, he probably thinks, I don't know, computer chips that are made in Taiwan are as easy to make, I don't know, potato chips, it's easy, just pump them out. Then to top it all off, as Biden's party is busy dragging its previous president through the mud, well, the CCP is propelling its nuclear arsenal into rapid expansion, which they describe to be occurring at a moderate and appropriate level. So how does Biden's defense secretary answer that? Well, by going out of his way to reassure China.
We do not seek confrontation or conflict, and we do not seek a new Cold War, an Asian NATO, or a region split into hostile blocs. We're working closely with both our competitors and our friends to strengthen the guardrails against conflict. And that includes fully open lines of communication with China's defense leaders.
Oh, my God. But Biden and his band of bumblers, they're not just reassuring China, as Austin just did. They're rewarding China, because any minute now, President Xi is going to learn that all of his saber rattling, all of his economic sabotage, and, of course, the COVID lies and the cover-up, that all paid off. Because America's lame duck is about to lift Trump's tariffs, further strengthening China's hand and sucker-punching U.S. manufacturing. So the Biden people are just frantic to lower tariffs on China, even though they know it won't do any good. This is in the New York Times tonight. An influential study this year predicted that a move to lift tariffs could save households $797 a year, but administration officials say the actual effect would most likely be far smaller. And then there's more from the Times. Any move to tweak the tariffs could carry significant trade-offs. It could encourage companies to keep their supply chains in China, undercutting another White House priority to bring jobs back to America. Well, sleazy pro-China lobbyists, they don't care about jobs in the United States. And the Chamber of Commerce, they're doing backflips tonight. So is this the product of a compromised Biden family vis-a-vis China? Do the elites in Washington already think that the United States has lost the global race with China? So, in other words, why not help clear the field for an easier transition? Well, these are all disturbing questions, but we should ponder them, think about them. Seriously think about them. What we do know, though, is that our lame duck president is sounding more like a bad actor in a film that went straight to video.
The bottom line is this. I truly believe we've made extraordinary progress by laying a new foundation for our economy. You know, Trump did not leave a very good situation. You think I'm kidding? I say America's back, and they look at me and they say, for how long?
No one, literally no one, thinks that Biden will do anything except embarrass us on the world stage. The White House announced an upcoming trip to Saudi Arabia in July. Maybe you've heard about that. Undoubtedly, they're just going to beg for Saudi Arabia, not U.S. manufacturers, but beg for Saudi Arabia to produce more oil. Now, even the friendly press seems pretty embarrassed.
Would he be holding official talks with MBS if gas was not at $5 a gallon?
The president will, and he said this before, he will meet with leaders across the world if it's in the best interest of the American people, if it's in our national security interests, and he believes this trip in its entirety, all the discussions he's going to be having over the course of those 3 days, absolutely fit that bill.
Oh, my God. How does he wake up in the morning? Now, Biden hobbled America. He sabotaged us. He sapped us of our energy independence. Then, when he goes hat in hand to the most despotic regimes on earth for help, the man wants a standing ovation from us. Sorry, Joe. You're being booed off the stage and you don't even know it. Unfortunately for us, we have 2.5 more years of a clown show to endure. It's going to be up to a new Republican Congress to begin to defund the woke madness at the Pentagon, shut down the money spigot, and prepare for a new president who believes in America first once again. And that's the angle.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.